Most of what you see online isn't business, it's just content. The people teaching you how to grow a business haven't actually built one. They've built a following, a persona, a content engine, but real business, one that runs without them, prints money quietly, and scales without a personal brand, well, that's an entirely different ballgame. What you're seeing all over social media is just the influencer economy. It looks like business, it talks like business, but it works more like entertainment with a link in the bio. Meanwhile, the people who are actually making money, the operators, they're sitting in boardrooms, not group chats. They're doing 7 figures a week and you've never seen them post once. I've sat in these boardrooms. I've been in meetings where the guy across the table is moving millions of dollars a month and no one outside the room has any idea who he is. No Instagram, no YouTube channel, no personal brand, just bulletproof systems, rock solid team, and a product that solves a real problem at scale. I've watched companies clear $1 million in a single week without a podcast, without a viral clip, and without even opening an Instagram app. That's not a performance. That's true business. And that's why this matters. Because if you follow the wrong model, you build the wrong business. You'll trade your time for content. You'll mistake engagement for progress. And when the attention dries up, so does your income. And if that sounds familiar, it's because I've seen both sides. I've built companies that grow only on ads. I've helped build teams, launch products, rebuilt broken ops. I've made bad hires, gone broke, burnt out. But when I changed my model, I made it all back, but I kept it this time. I'm not a guru. I'm not here to flex or sell you a dream or convince you that I've cracked some magical code. The only reason I'm making this content now is because I've spent the last 5 years building infrastructure, not influence. My business doesn't rely on content. It doesn't depend on posting. It runs without me because I built it that way. Now I'm just documenting what works. So in this video, I'm going to break down the real difference between influencers and operators. Not to hate on anybody, but to show you what it actually takes to build something that lasts. Because influencers build audiences. Operators build infrastructure. And only one of them can walk away and still get paid. Now, I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying. Building a brand is very important. But relying on that brand as your only source of acquisition for a customer is a very dangerous road to walk. So in this video, I'm going to break down some of the differences. So let's break it down visually. We're going to look at the 5 key areas where influencers and operators think very differently. Not just show the gap, but show you how you can actually cross it. So let's start with mindset, right? Number 1. Influencer logic behind mindset is they crave attention. They are going based on vanity metrics. They're going based on views, how many people see them. But the operator moves in silence. It's quiet execution. They're doing the things that the influencers talk about doing. And the shift is you need to be focusing over long-term growth over being loud, right? You need to focus on a long vision for your life and what you want your business to do instead of just chasing trends. Number 2 is builds fast for validation, but the operator plays the infinite game. And let me explain what I'm saying here. When you build fast for validation, you're looking for a Shopify screenshot. You're looking to show that you did $1 million in a month. But the sad part is most of that is not actual profit. You can show the vanity metric of revenue on a screenshot, but it's not actually profit, and it doesn't go into your bank. You use it as leverage to sell a course and post more content. But the operator plays a long-term game, an infinite game. And when you expand your time horizon and you start understanding that what I do today affects everything, and you start playing a long-term game, that's when you start to realize that it's not about making $1 million in a month. It's about making $1 million a month every single month for as long as you live. And if you play that game, it switches the entire infrastructure that you build your business. You now focus on systems. You focus on processes. You focus on retention. Because if you want to make $1 million a month for the rest of your life, and you don't have good systems, it's never going to work. Anybody can make $1 million in a couple months if you spend enough money on ads. If you go spend $2,000 a day on ads, you're going to make money, right? But you want to build it once and have it scale forever. You need to think like the operator that plays an infinite game. Number 3 is they measure it success by engagement. The influencer sees that, okay, I got X amount of comments on this video, my engagement is going up. That's where they base their success off of. But the operator focuses on margin plus freedom is way greater than any amount of likes they get on a video. If they can increase their margin and have more freedom by being able to step away for a couple months, that's way more valuable than any engagement that they get on a video. So you need to start measuring success by the amount of money that actually goes into your bank, not the actual revenue, not the vanity metric of I got 1 million views on a video, but how much money is in your actual bank. That's where operators judge their success. And I'll always remember this. I've sat across a founder. He was a tech founder. He was valued at $50 million. And he had 200 Instagram followers. No press, no podcast, just precision. And they weren't chasing influence. They were building assets and got valued at a $50 million valuation. So I want you to really ask yourself this question. Are you chasing attention or are you actually building leverage? And I'll always remember that conversation because it blew my mind. It changed the entire reference between an influencer and an operator, right? But now that you're starting to think a little bit more like an operator, you're starting to understand the mindset, you have to realize mindset alone isn't enough. You need to know what to measure because what you track is what you grow. And if you're tracking the wrong things, you'll scale the wrong outcomes. So the next one is metrics, right? Number 1, influencers go based on views, followers, and likes. How many views did they get on a video? How many followers did they attract? How many likes did they get? But the shift is you need to be able to track your operations and your return on investment, not just attention. Attention's cool, but if it doesn't generate actual money, then what's the point, right? So operators focus on acquisition cost, their lifetime value, their churn rate, how many people they're retaining. And if you focus on these metrics, that's how you build something that scales. That's how you know your true margins and can actually take that attention and turn it into something valuable. Number 2 is they chase CPMs and virality, right? They chase how many impressions they get and they chase a viral video. So they'll do and say anything that goes viral. And the sad part is the people that are actually giving you the best advice are usually not the ones that go viral. You'll see a couple here and there that give really high quality advice. You know, people like Alex Hormozi, Gary Vee are great examples of huge followings. But at the end of the day, most of these people you're seeing online are trying to sell you a course and they're trying to make something that goes viral that sounds sexy, but in reality doesn't work. The operator focuses on margin, delivery cost, and cash flow, right? They focus on how much money they're actually making when they make a sale, not how much revenue I did in a month. They focus on delivery cost, which is a direct correlation to margins. How much does it cost to actually deliver your product? And how can you increase that, or how can you decrease that and increase your efficiency? And they focus on cash flow. How much cash is actually flowing through your bank? And the great book from Robert Kiyosaki, literally Cash Flow Quadrants, he coined the phrase. Read that book if you don't understand cash flow, because that's a metric that you need to be tracking inside of your business. And number 3, for influencers, they obsess over growth hacks, right? You see it all the time. Use these 3 cheat sheets and I guarantee that you'll be rich. Well, it doesn't really work, right? There's no easy route. There's no easy path. And the operators understand the long game. They understand which KPI creates the most leverage, right? And that's how you can actually scale without a personal brand. If you understand the actual leverage point of what you can push to generate and you understand what happens in the lag, that's where you actually generate money. And like I said in the beginning, I don't want you to mistake what I'm saying. Brand is very important, but relying 100% on your brand as your only way to acquire customers is a very dangerous route, especially if that brand relies on you. It's not scalable. So you need to focus on which KPI actually drives the most leverage. And it's funny because I actually ran a business that hit $1 million in 90 days. And it sounds great, right? We did $1 million in 90 days. Well, what we didn't know was our LTV, our acquisition cost, and our true margins. And we actually ended up losing the money selling $1 million. We did $1 million in sales and we lost money on that. And it's because we weren't tracking the right things. We didn't know our actual margins. We didn't know our lifetime value. We didn't know that because our delivery system was so broke, we wouldn't have any returning customers. So you have to understand what you're actually tracking. And once you know what actually moves the needle, the next question is, well, how do you build around it? So let's look at the business model itself, because most people are building systems that collapse the second they stop posting or the second they leave for a month in their business. So the next one is the actual model of the business. The influencer focuses on content as their growth engine, right? The more I post on, YouTube, social media, whatever it is, the content engine, that's what actually generates revenue. But the operator thinks that, how do I build a systematized growth engine where I don't have to do anything? They focus on operations first. How the business can operate to grow without all the manual effort. Number two is personal brand is the business, right? For the influencer, their personal brand is the actual business. That's what generates the revenue. That's what they work on. That's their business model. But an operator knows that the product or service is the business. It's not the front end, but the product and service is the actual business. Business is greater than a brand. And a personal brand. Now, a business can be a brand, and you do need to brand it. You need to have trust. You need to have all these things. But it's focused on the product and service and what you're actually delivering to the client. That's what gets me so frustrated about this whole online guru course selling people, is they don't realize that the product and service is just, most of them are just a video that they filmed 5 years ago that has no relevance nowadays. Right? But the people that can grow without scale are people that focus on problems, not just posting, right? And number three, they think scaling is just posting more, which is not actually the case. Yes, you can drive more attention, but you need to use content to support the operations, not drive them. Like I said in the beginning, a brand is important, but if it's the only way you acquire customers, it's a dangerous route. So an operator knows that systems scale the business. Having duplicatable systems of acquisition, of delivery, of processing, of support, that's what drives the business forward, and that's what creates compound, right? So ask yourself these questions. Does your business rely 100% on you? Whether it's your content, your skills, your time. And if you stop posting today, would your business still grow? And those are serious questions you have to ask yourself. I would recommend pausing this video, getting a journal, writing this down. Because if your business doesn't run without you, then you basically just have a glorified job with a better title. You can say that you're an entrepreneur, but it's not necessarily an actual business owner, right? So now let's talk about what everyone wants to talk about, money, right? Because the way influencers make money looks so exciting, but it's so fragile. Operators design monetization that actually compounds, even when nobody's watching. And don't get me wrong, everyone wants the influencer lifestyle. Fast cars, beautiful women, mansions, all of these different things, but it's so fragile because as soon as they get canceled or someone else pops up, they're watching somebody else, they're not tuning in, it breaks. But an operator knows that if they have the correct system, it doesn't even really matter if anybody's watching the videos. So monetization. Right? Influencers make the most money from brand deals, launches, and sponsorships. But the shift is you need to build a scalable offer engine, right? An operator knows that the evergreen offer and recurring revenue is the strategy. Solving actual problems, which is number two. Influencers focus on products based on trends. What's trending? What are they getting the most engagement on? They throw together a makeshift product and sell it and make quick money and then never have anything long term. Same with a course. Most people create a brand, they start posting, someone asks them a question, they throw together a course in an hour and sell it for 10 grand. That's their business model. That's their product and service. But an operator knows that if you can build a product based on an actual problem that a lot of people are experiencing, that's where you see the actual scale. Because if you build something on a problem that always will happen, you'll always make money because people always want to solve their problems. And the influencer logic is that more products equals more money. But the operator knows that if they focus on delivery and retention instead of just launching new products, the retention and referrals is what actually compounds the revenue. Word of mouth is one of the very few aspects, maybe besides, investing obviously has it. There's a couple other things, but it's one of the few that actually compounds. Because think about it, if you have more customers that tell more people, and those people become customers, increase your customer base, and they tell more people, word of mouth can skyrocket. Look at companies like Airbnb. Airbnb got a huge skyrocket, and he has a clip. I'll try to find it and link it in the description, but he has an interview where they talk about that he underestimated word of mouth and that this lady was telling thousands of people about Airbnb, which helped in the growth, right? It's not about launching more products and more money. That's why you see all these course creators and so-called gurus launching a new course every month, because the other one wasn't good enough, so they have to make another course to sell it back and create more value, but none of it's actually retaining, and it's not compounding. And it's funny, I've seen guys do 6-figure months selling trending products. We did $1 million in 90 days selling a trending product, right? But we couldn't recreate it the next quarter. But meanwhile, the company I worked with back a couple years ago was doing $1 million a week and sold the same exact offer, didn't change a thing for 5 years. Think about the difference of that. Would you rather perfect an offer that can grow and scale without any input, or do you want to just keep thinking of new ideas, new products, new businesses, create new funnels, run new ads every single month, right? It's a pretty obvious answer if you actually want to build a business. But here's where it gets real, right? Because all the revenue in the world means absolutely nothing if your time isn't your own. That's why we all got into business in the first place, right? We all became an entrepreneur because we wanted to make sure that we owned our time. We wanted freedom. But the last piece is the actual real end game of it all. It's freedom. It's optionality, having the option to do what you want. It's building a business that you can actually leave and exit. That's what we all want. And the time and exit is very different, right? Because the influencer thinks that posting equals income. And it does for the influencer. The more you post, the more followers, the more launches, the more revenue you drive, right? But the operator knows that if you build the infrastructure and the systems and the team, then the whole system can run without them. And that's what investors look at when they go and buy a business, right? And number two is, if the influencer stops posting for a year, there's no cash. There's no anything that comes through because they stop posting. People's attention spans are so quick nowadays that if you stop posting for a year, people are going to forget about you. You're basically starting from scratch again. But if you think like an operator, you can create separation. You can create separation and have your systems run without you putting in the input. Things that are scalable and automatable, right? You want to be able to automate them and make sure that you don't have to manually put in all the hours and time. In the beginning you do, just like anything, you have to be able to put in the work ethic, but you also want to focus on automating it. And the crazy part about the influencer is it's very, very hard, virtually impossible to sell a personal brand. I think maybe the only person that's ever gotten an offer is Mr. Beast. But at the end of the day, it's like he has, however many subscribers he has now. And his whole business model is not only relying on the channel. But at the end of the day, if he stopped posting on the Mr. Beast channel, if Mr. Beast himself didn't post on it, it probably wouldn't do as successful. And you can't sell a personal brand. It's the same thing with side hustles, right? You can't sell a side hustle because you can't sell yourself, right? You can't exit. But an operator knows that you should focus on having a business that is built on systems and predictability. That's one of the most powerful words in business. Is it predictable? Do you know how much money you're predicted to have next quarter? Or do you have to think of a new business idea, launch it, and hope that it makes money? Real businesses, if you look at even the biggest businesses in the world, they're predictable, right? Even publicly traded companies, they are predictable. You know about how much money they're going to make or lose the next quarter. So the operator logic is that it's optionality and exit readiness. You cannot sell something that if you step away from it, doesn't work. Think about it. Would an investor go and buy something that as soon as they buy and you leave doesn't work anymore? No. It doesn't make sense. It'd be a bad investment. No investor's actually going to do that. And it's funny, I've sat with people who do 7 figures a year and haven't touched their business in 3 months. It's funny, the company I was working with that was doing $1 million a week, you know, I would talk to the CEOs a lot, but they weren't the operators of the business anymore. They built it all from ground zero. They were the only people in the thing, and just like any startup, you have to wear all the hats, but once they scaled it up, they would come in and rely on the team to give them, you know, what was happening in their business. And it was wild to watch. But that's what we all strive for. That's what we all want. Why? Because they invested in systems, not just sales. And that's the operator's edge. That's what makes things different in how this actually works, right? You want to be able to step away. You want to be able to exit. You want to be able to sell. And that's the whole point of all this. So if we're doing a quick recap of everything, the mindset, you have to switch from wanting all this attention to building systems and playing a long-term game. Not instant gratification, but delaying the gratification for something absolutely extraordinary. The second one is metrics. Know what to track. Track your acquisition costs, track your lifetime value, track your churn rate, track your margins, your cash flow. Track actual business KPIs, not just followers and views and likes and things like that. Know what business model you're actually doing. Is your business model to sell a course on a personal brand? Awesome. This probably is not the channel for you. But if you want to build something that has operations first, that builds a business and has systems that scale, you need to know what business model you're actually doing. Monetization, you need to know how to make money. Do you want to make money on brand deals, launches, and sponsorships that are one-off and may put a little bit of money in your pocket but aren't sustainable? Or do you want an evergreen offer with recurring revenue that makes you money forever? And then time and exit. Do you want to build a business that you can sell? Or do you want to be always reliant on yourself to make money? And those are some of the biggest things that you have in order to switch from the influencer to the operator. So here's the truth. If you're here because you want to grow a following, sell a course, and ride the content train to the top, this probably isn't the channel for you. But if you're here because you want to build something real, something systematized, sustainable, and scalable without trading your entire life for it, then welcome. I'm not a guru. I'm not here to flex or sell you some dream that's unrealistic or convince you that I've cracked some magical code. The only reason I'm making this content now is because I've spent the last 5 years building the infrastructure. My business doesn't rely on content. It doesn't depend on posting. It runs without me because I built it that way. I was already filming these breakdowns for my team and for my clients. And one day I thought, why not show it publicly? Not for the algorithm, not for the clout, but to give other operators like me that are tired of seeing all of these gurus a playbook that actually works. And don't worry, I'm not here to sell you some pre-recorded course that I made 5 years ago, or tell you that here's the 3 cheat sheets away from a Lamborghini. There's no magic bullet. There's no secret sauce. Just 2 routes that you've got to choose between. Become an influencer, chase clout, ride trends, or become an operator. Build in silence, stack leverage, and create something that actually lasts. And if that's the path you're choosing, then start with the next video. Side hustles that are keeping you broke. You need to understand what to focus on, how you can actually go, and make sure to subscribe to the channel. Like I said, we're not going to sell you a course. I'm not going to throw you into some $10,000 mastermind. I'm going to give you everything that I know because why not? If you're like me and are tired of seeing all of these gurus and people that are selling you stuff that doesn't work, then subscribe to this channel. Show some support, and let's build systems that actually scale and build something for the long term. I'll see you in the next video.